Hey there, YouTube. It's just me this time. And as you'll notice, the video has a black background, and that's because this is sort of a vlog slash rant. You see, recently I read an article by someone on Street Fighter V mods. Let me pull it up for a second. Uncensored World of Street Fighter Mods by the Mary Sue. And in it, there was a quote that pissed me the fuck off. Let me find it real quick. They use the word normative a lot when talking about attractiveness. Normative standards of attractiveness. Here it is. The quote reads, "But even the latter, when referring to asking people to tag their porn so that people can avoid it if they want to, as if you can't just do that by clicking away, but even doing that doesn't really address the inherent problem, which is that all of the porn that ends up rising to the surface of these communities tends to be a very specific and normative type of porn." Now, what they're referring to when they say normative is what a straight male would consider attractive. Your standard run-of-the-mill straight male. Looking for a thin lady, woman, who has no facial defects, or very few, no, just Google search woman. Go to the images section, Google search woman. Let's put safe search on, just to be silly. And there you go. All of the first 20, 30 results, except for one, in a pixabay.com, I would consider attractive. And that's what they mean by normative. That this is a bad thing to be attracted to. And my first reaction to this was, why is that a bad thing? The only reason you could have a problem with what I'm attracted to is because you want to be in that range and you're not, I think. I could be wrong. And my second reaction to this was, why the fuck is this your problem? This is a dig at all the extremist feminists out there. All the air quote tumblerinas out there who get offended at fucking everything, etc., etc. Why is what I'm attracted to your problem? In fact, this is also a dig at the conservatives who are against gay marriage. Why is what someone else is attracted to your problem? That's just, it blows my mind how that's someone else's problem. So I've been ranting to myself about it for like half an hour. I was watching a lunar pool tool-assisted speedrun and I couldn't get it out of my head. So I started ranting to myself, and I figured I'd put that in video form. So, reasons why it shouldn't be your problem are firstly, it's what I'm attracted to, not what you're attracted to. If you had a problem with what you were attracted to, then okay, you can change that. It'll take a lot of effort, but you can change that. And I would have zero problems with that. I'm getting nervous because I'm actually going to put this up. Blah. Tone of voice. It really matters. Anyways. Secondly, treat others how you want to be treated. Now, this is a bit of a personal thing. I tend to roleplay a bit on Pester Chum. I don't very much at the moment, but I used to a few months ago. On a certain memo. I'm not going to say which. Pester Chum, by the way, is basically just an IRC client, and they call channels memos, and they call usernames handles, and a whole bunch of circumstantial shit, which all that matters right now is channel equals memo. On a certain memo, where I went to roleplay, there was someone who followed this same tumblrina, for lack of a better term, thought pattern. And I was getting on fine with him. There were no problems. Until I switched characters. See, firstly, and don't judge me for this, this is just what I decided to do. Firstly, I was playing as a female character who was a lesbian. And they had decided to switch characters before me, and they'd switched to a human female, I believe. Yeah, a human female who was also a lesbian. Now, these two lesbians didn't have any problems. Then I switched characters to a literal self-insert. And when I say a literal self-insert, I mean I was role-playing as me. One day, me, from real life, was walking down the street. I was heading to the hospital because of a personal emergency. I saw the setting of the roleplay memo in front of me, and I decided, you know what, I'm lost. I need directions. I'm going in there. And I did. And things were all right for a while. My self-insert managed to find a romantic interest in another player's female character, and at the same time, this lesbian, who my other character had zero problems with, was interested in the same female character. And we had agreed to fight over her romantically. Not physically, romantically. And around this time, I had some person-to-person talks with the role player of this lesbian character. And I wanted to know what the theory was behind her thought pattern, behind all of this Tumblrishness, which the memo was saturated with. And I did. We had a good conversation, and we outlined some main points, and we were both better off for it. So, later on in the roleplay, the romantic interest was confused, if I remember correctly, and ran out of the setting into the memo's designated outside sub-memo. And my character ran after her because that's the natural thing to do when your love interest just fucks off in that state. You run after her, you see what's wrong, you try to fix it. And this lesbian character had a friend who liked a male friend who liked cross-dressing. And I don't know, I guess they were trans? Not really sure, didn't really care. Lesbian character sent her male friend after me, and I had been running for a while already, but apparently he was this master fucking woodsman who could track a rabbit, not a bear, track a rabbit through the woods just by the smell of its shit. And he gunned me down. He comes in, I stumble, and he fucking drop kicks me in the back. Now, this is obviously meant to hurt. So I say, out of character, I ask, alright, exactly how powerful was that? And he says, really powerful. And I go, okay, you just broke my fucking rib. And I roleplay that. And I have no problem with a character wanting to break another character's rib. That's not a problem. My problem is with the reasoning behind it. You see, this person who I'm talking about, who roleplayed the lesbian character, they didn't have any problems with me, the person behind my self-insert character. They had a problem with the self-insert. And now that you've heard that they're both exactly the same, me and the self-insert, there's some sort of disconnect here. That's bullshit. You can't have no problem with me and have a problem with the self-insert. That's just literally impossible. So they break my rib. The romantic interest comes back, stops running. They were a bit better than human, for lack of a better term, but they were keeping me within distance. They come back. I don't quite remember that scene too well. I could probably go look it up. I think I still have the logs. But the important point is, I get back to the main memo, and I get my rib fixed. With magic, because fucking magic. So, yeah, I don't understand why that had to happen. And it's the same problem. It's the same, you have a problem with what I'm attracted to. It's the same. It's the same. So, taking that as a dig against me as a person, because obviously you must have a problem with me as a person because I was roleplaying as myself, taking that as a dig against me as a person, I left. And I haven't come back since. I think I'm about to. Just right friggin' now. See who's there, what's going on. I'm gonna upload this video and show it to him. And just get some reactions. I don't know. This wasn't originally meant to go this way. This was originally meant to transition into a different rant. Whatever. Let's go there anyways. What I remember saying is, I'm a nice person. I know I'm a nice person because I actively try to be a nice person. I could be a complete asshole. That is within my range of emotions. But I'm a nice person. And I'm a nice person because I believe in treating people how you want to be treated. However, I think there comes a point where that turns into treat others how they have treated you. And if what and who I'm attracted to is a reason for us to come to blows, then let me get my fighting gloves on, and we'll come to blows. And let me tell you, There isn't a single person on the face of this planet who can god mod better than Giga. So don't fucking try that on me. If you want to come to blows, we'll come to blows. Winner take all. One of us throws the first punch, and whoever comes out with the less battered face will be the winner. Their ideology will obviously be correct. That's how wars are fought, and that's the mindset that's coming up against me right now. So again, obviously, that must be the answer. It makes me sad, yo. What makes me sad is that there are people out there who would rather commit genocide than act like an adult. Oh, yeah, here's the point that I was going to go into when I was talking about tagging. When I create a piece of art, or a piece of literature, or anything for that matter, it's not my responsibility to make sure that when you view it, you act like an adult in response. It's not and shouldn't be my responsibility to do that. For example, I was reading a comic. I can get you the name of the comic because it's completely... The name of the comic is Dumbing of Age. It had a strip recently, which was completely black for around 1,000 and... How big is my monitor? 1,600-ish pixels tall. Completely black, white text saying, "I'm sorry if you don't want to see X thing," which I'm not going to mention. I have it in front of me right now. Hey, the strip below ends pretty damn rough. If that's totes cool with you and you just want to read the strip without ending details, just skip directly down to the strip. Keep in mind this is a 4-panel fucking comic. If you'd rather a more specific content warning, there's one between here and the strip. It's in a darker text, so those who don't want to see it can hopefully miss it, while those who search it out can find it. And then lower down, in a shade of gray on a black background, trigger warning, attempted suicide. Gonna be completely real with you? I've had thoughts of suicide in the past. Back when I was... what was it? I was in grade school. Grade 7? 7 sounds right. So I was 12 years old, and I wanted to kill myself. Because I was being bullied at school. And that happens. Of course it happens. It happened to me. Why wouldn't it happen? People dislike their lot in life. So they decide, you know what, life isn't worth this shit. I'm out. And there are people out there who have also had suicidal thoughts. Perhaps they're currently having suicidal thoughts, but they should be able to realize that a work of fiction is completely different from real fucking life. Because a fictional character wanted to commit suicide, I should obviously commit suicide, is irrational. And if I wrote this comic, if I drew this comic, if I uploaded this comic, I would not put a warning due to the content inside for just this specific page. No other page in the comic has this friggin' 160, no, not 160, 1,600 pixel tall black space before the comic. Not a single other strip. I would put at the fucking beginning, before I post any strips, This comic deals in mature issues, and it's not for children. If you take a look at someone, again, I'll put the comic on screen. In fact, if you take a look at this right here, this panel in the center of the original video that I'm recording, where the girl in the red hair, her name is Becky, is remembering someone, I can't tell based on the other flashbacks, either herself or her friend overdosing on nondescript medication. What does that say? Overdosing on nondescript medication. It's not the author's job to make sure that when you view that, you act like an adult. And underneath that, they put this. Here's a photo of a kitten. This kitten will never die. If you don't like people dying, that's normal. Expected, even. However, immortality has its own fair share of issues. This kitten, according to that quote, will watch its friends and loved ones age while it is frozen in time. That, or it's immortal, and not, what's the term? Immortal and ages. In which case it will be a very old and very sickly kitten. Or cat, rather. Very old, very sickly cat. After 15 or 16 years. Because that's the general lifespan of a cat. So, that aside, trigger warnings are dumb. The word trigger as a verb relating to emotions is retarded. Plain and simple, that's what it is. If something makes you angry, because that phrase is a synonym for, air quotes, being triggered. If something makes you angry, then it makes you angry. And that's perfectly fine. However, it is your job to deal with that anger. It is not the job of the person who made you angry to not make you angry. Ever again. And good ways of dealing with that anger is, for one, talking about it, like I'm doing right here. I'm talking to myself, talking to nobody, but I'm still talking about it. There's being constructive about it. But things shouldn't be retroactively shown as this is X. If you don't like X, fuck off. They should be shown as, here's my work. I hope you like it. Fucking ESRB rating system. They got it right. They got it perfect. Not Tumblr and its million tags. Or the fucking non-binary gigantic list of fake genders. Nonbinary.org wiki list of non-binary identities. Let me find a really dumb one in here. Alright, here's one. Gender flux. Coined by the person named Dear Goths in 2014. Gender flux means that your internal sense of how gendered you are varies over time. One day you might feel really gendered, and the next day you might have a very weak feeling of gender or not feel like any gender at all. Whereas gender fluidity is a shift between different genders, gender flux is more like varying intensity. Where do I begin? If what's in your pants, because that's what it is, that's what gender is, what's in your pants. If what's in your pants has that much of an impact on your mental state, you need help. You need a therapist. If you can't decide whether you want to be called he or she, then who gives a shit? It's not yours to decide. What decides that is what's in your pants. If you don't like what's in your pants, then go ahead. Get gender change surgery. Get hormone developments. Get whatever. I don't give a shit. But there are two genders. There's male and there's female. And then there's transgender. There are people who are female who don't like being female. And there are people who are male who don't like being male. And that's perfectly fine. However, if you look like a guy, people are going to call you him. If you look like a girl, people are going to call you her. If you walk up to someone and you say, "I'm sorry, my preferred pronoun is they," you're going to look like a snob. You're going to look like a pampered, selfish asshole. That's what I concern myself with. How I look to other people. How my actions reflect onto other people's psyches. If you don't care what other people are going to think about your actions, that's normal. That's called being an asshole. Personally, I don't like assholes, but that's a normal thing to do. Here's another dumb one. It's called neutra, or neutrois. Probably neutra. Coined by a neutra person named H.A. Burnham in 1995. Having one non-binary gender identity that is neutral. Not female, not male, and not a mix. That makes no sense. However, it continues, some neutra people are transsexual, experience gender dysphoria, and want to get a physical transition. That is called not being okay with what's in your pants. Here's another one. Maverick. Coined by Vesper H. Username QueerScat. Queer as cat. Possibly. In 2014. A specific non-binary gender identity characterized by autonomy and inner conviction regarding a sense of self that is entirely independent of masculinity, femininity, or anything which derives from the two, while still being neither, without gender, nor of a neutral gender. So they're even more angry, not okay, with what's in their pants. They want to be completely separate from what's in their pants. From their reproductive system. And that by itself is perfectly fine, but it shouldn't be a facet of your personality. It shouldn't be something that defines you. Here's another dumb one. Polygender. Having several gender identities, particularly 4 or more of them. This can mean at different times or at the same time. That's generally called schizophrenia. Generally called dissociative identity disorder. Here's another dumb one. Vag gender, or gender vag, coined by neurodivergent kin and strangled love, is defined as a gender identity that is highly influenced by being neurodivergent, or more specifically not neurotypical, as in not right in the head, and feels undefinable or partly definable because of one's neurodivergence. Specific kinds of vag gender include vag flux, vag boy, and vag girl. Once again, if what's in your pants means so much to you, you need to get a different hobby, or a hobby whatsoever. Take up singing, take up drawing, take up fucking anything. Video games, woodworking, metalworking, I don't give a shit. These are ideas. But stop looking at your genitals and saying, this is wrong. Stop looking at two people and saying, this is wrong. If I was drop-kicked in the back because of jealousy, I'd be perfectly fucking fine with it. But that's not why I was drop-kicked. In this fictional setting. By this fictional person. Anyways, I've been here for an hour, and people are starting to wake up. I need to get away from this topic. Because it's just pissing me off more. YouTube, I hope you have a good day. I hope that if you find something that makes you angry, like if this video has made you angry, you don't have to just lose your mind over it. That you can act like an adult over it. And I'm not saying that I won't accept any criticism whatsoever. If you want to criticize me over the content of this video, go right the fuck ahead. If I think it's valid, I'll listen. And hell, maybe I'll change my ways even. If I don't think it's valid, I won't. If it's constructive criticism, then all the better. That's the good type of criticism. I'd be more inclined to listen to constructive criticism than hate bashing, I guess. But if you can't act like an adult while watching this video, then perhaps you need some maturity lessons. This coming from someone who is apparently not as mature as he's supposed to be. You need maturity lessons. That's ridiculous. Anyways, later YouTube. I'm gonna probably edit the pauses out of this so that it's more palatable and not an entire fucking hour long. Who knows? Have fun.